The other big challenge that we see is from an IT perspective, and most of us here in this room are probably from the IT side of the organization, is we don't go fast enough. I have constant conversations with customers from the business side who say, it's just not quick enough. And if my IT people can't give it to me, I'm going somewhere else. That's the threat of the cloud. This is like 1986, for those of you who are old enough to remember, the PC revolution all over again. PCs got bought on photocopier budgets, on toilet paper. We bought them any old way we could because IT couldn't keep up. Well, the cloud's like that with a couple of generations added on. If IT doesn't deliver the service we want, the business will go past us and subscribe to it on the outside. To get into a cloud service is very easy. You need internet connection, a credit card, and a telephone. That's it. And you can be online by tomorrow. Getting out is a very different proposition. I have more conversations with customers about exit conditions for cloud services than I ever do about entry conditions. So if any of you are here looking at subscribing to a cloud service, talk about exit, because exit's really hard. You've been in there for 2 years and they have all of your data somewhere, and you want out. Well, where is it? Can you get it back? Which legal jurisdiction is it in? Who's going to pay for getting it? Loads of problems getting out. If we're looking at cloud services, getting in is easy, getting out is harder. We have to help make that into a coherent whole. HP pulled this up, and this is our strategy we came to market with, and it's a multi-pronged one, as you'd expect from a company of our size. It's continuing to help build and design and deliver the best IT technology that you can take to build solutions with. It's helping people build cloud-based solutions, either inside your organization or increasingly in the diverse world of the service provider. And I'll touch on the 3 different routes to market for cloud in a moment. It's also addressing the whole mobility marketplace. And the conjunction of those 3 is what's going to drive our industry forward. Putting a little bit of meat in some of those bones, we are seeing the infrastructure world change fundamentally. The world of convergence has arrived. And when I was young, and God was in short trousers, buying IT was relatively simple. You went to one company and you bought all your stuff from them. Probably IBM, because they were the biggest and probably the best at the time. And you had to do that because there were no standards. You couldn't mix and match stuff. It was all proprietary. For the last 20 years or so-ish, we've enjoyed the best-of-breed generation. Probably all of you have used that phrase at least once. And where we bought technologies from separate places, because that was the best way to do it. We used the growing standards that we had, electrical ones, interface ones, protocol ones, to build technologies we could put together. So you bought your servers from here, your storage from there, your network from somewhere else, your management software, and you got the best result. Those days are over. If you want to do it that way, that's absolutely fine. You can continue to do that into the future. Today's technology is rigorously based around open standards. But if you do that, it will take longer and cost more than buying a dramatically more converged infrastructure powered by Intel processors primarily to drive the servers and the storage and the networking pieces. We will get technology to you much faster using a converged approach. HP is not unique in that space, but we're significantly further down the path than that. But if you want to get it quicker, you want to drive cost out, convergence in the infrastructure will help you do that. This is some of the things we mean by convergence. You can break into the different architectures. I'll leave this for your reference. One of the interesting points there is actually the one on the bottom. 2 years ago, when I was talking about power and cooling, I couldn't get 5 minutes with anybody who signed a check. Today, everybody wants to talk about power and cooling because electricity is really expensive. Best estimate I've seen is in the UK, domestic and commercial electricity will probably double in price in the next 3 years. Anybody here not yet tied in their electricity prices on fixed price? Well, you should. I have. Because it's only going in one direction, and that's up. The ability to drive power is going to be very important. And that starts to influence things like, where's my data center? Do I even want to own one? One of the huge attractions of cloud is that somebody else owns that problem. HP, for example, we invested fairly recently in building a world-class data center, and I would claim it to be one of those ones fit for purpose. We looked all over Europe because we believe very strongly that cloud is all about geographical sensitivity. You have to know where your data is, because if you don't care, your auditor or your regulator or your compliance officer will make you care. We looked all over Europe for where we would build the best data center, and guess where we came up with? Middlesbrough. the best place in Europe to build a world-class data center. Why? I'll tell you, it's cold in Middlesbrough. It's windy in Middlesbrough. There's a constant air pattern. It has wind coming off the sea, and we cool that data center using natural air from the outside. We literally, if somewhat crudely put, open the windows and let air blow in. Not quite that simple, of course, but fundamentally that's how we do it. What does that mean? It seems about $16 million a year we don't spend on turning the AC on. Those sort of things start to hugely differentiate where you put your cloud services. It's also going to change the way people buy technology. In the old days, it was simple. A CIO, or man in charge of, or person, woman in charge of IT, went out there, bought some good stuff, bought some good people, built a solution and provided it to their customers. And that's not the case anymore. It hasn't been for a while. Cloud's exaggerating it. Some of it you will still build in-house, either because it's technically or politically or financially too difficult to make it go anywhere else. Some of it you'll share with people that are like you or you believe you can trust in a shared infrastructure. Some of it you'll go to the public cloud and acquire. The challenge is you will do all of those. Cloud is not about one solution, it's about all of those. It's about how you make that mixture coherent. And that's really where we see the difference between the big cloud vendors. The world will be hybrid shaped. You will have all of these. The challenge is how do you manage it and how do you make all of that mixture look coherent. You'll hear from lots of vendors. Lots of people will tell you they've got a great solution for a piece of the puzzle, and that's great. But look for the ability to make it look coherent and mix and match to meet your business requirements. That's the challenge, and that's where you'll see the differentiation in the vendors today. We see the market breaking down very clearly into three different approaches. There are enterprises, from small to incredibly big, but who are building cloud-based services, by which I mean elasticity, sharing reviews, stability to stretch up and down inside your organization, typically for thousands of applications, typically inside your organization. We see a very different model for the service providers who are looking to make money out of this, who are running thousands of your applications in lots of different places around the world, and their battle is to make it as simple as possible, make it as standard as possible. And we do see increasingly the people who are actually leading the way in some of this technology, the independent clouds, people do one thing. Facebook's probably the world's biggest example, LinkedIn, MySpace, people like that who do one thing but they do it on a global basis. And the demands of running 500 million Facebook users, about half of them concurrently, is driving the way you design and build and implement services that you can put into commercial space. HP's solution to this thing we call Cloud System. I'm not going to give you a pitch today. I would say we build really good stuff. It has in it, though, some key things I encourage you to look at when you're looking at any cloud vendor, any piece of the puzzle. You have to have the ability to change it. Any cloud solution that will not allow you to change pieces of it is too restrictive. You're back into buying rigidity and the inflexibility we talked about as part of the problem. So basic stuff like I want to change the hypervisor, or I want more than one, I want to change the storage devices, I want to change my architecture without interrupting my cloud service. The ability to change it is one of the key things you look for. We do it in three sizes. The basic one for Cloud Matrix, Cloud System Enterprise, which is probably where we fit for most of your needs in terms of managing disparate environments. The ability to take a workload from a traditional environment to your internal cloud, to an external shared service, and back again without you doing anything. That's where we are today. That's the state of the marketplace, and that's the sort of level of management you have to be demanding if you're going to make cloud more than simply an interesting exercise. We go a little further than that, though. We'll put a stake on the table. We offer a service called Cloud Start, which is a guarantee to get you from scratch to running in 30 days. From the ability from delivering the kit to your site to the point where a user, through a single portal, can demand and use and deploy and retract and destroy services in 30 days. That's the sort of level of help you need to make sure you're doing the right thing. We've gone a little further than that with our partners Intel. We've also spent several tens of millions of dollars building a large-scale physical laboratory. Because one of the key questions I also get is, I don't trust it. I had a comment on the table when we were having lunch, don't trust it. I can't test it. How do I can test 10 VMs, I now need 10,000. How do I test it? Well, you can with HP. our partners at Intel. We've built a laboratory to help you do that. First one's in Houston, the second one will be in Europe as we go through later this year. As you'd expect from a relatively large company, we've been doing quite a lot of this stuff. Our technology powers some of the very largest cloud-based environments out there today. Facebook runs entirely on HP technology. LinkedIn does, MySpace does. Twitter runs, not any feeds in there yet, but Twitter runs on HP-based technology. I don't mean to say that out of any source of ego. I mean to say that from a source that we've learned an awful lot from doing this in terms of what we need to do to design and deliver technologies and services to help you be successful. We are a large-scale company. We're probably not the company you think we are. HP's changed so much in the last 10 years that everybody thinks we do one thing. You either think we're a PC company because you've got one of our laptops, or you think we're a printer company because you see the stuff coming out of the pages, or in the city you probably think we're the blade vendor of choice because that's what we dominate. Actually, we do all of those things, and an awful lot more. We are the world's largest IT company by a country mile. We're about 25% bigger than IBM is. Again, I don't see that out of a source of ego. I see that out of a source of we've learned an awful lot and we have skills and experiences that we want to share. I'll leave you with two messages. One, the world will be hybrid shaped. That's not necessarily a hugely comfortable message, but it will be. You will have a mixture of in-house traditional services, in-house private clouds, however you define that, public services, and your challenge is to make that whole thing coherent and work together as a whole to benefit your business. The other thing is, it's going to happen. It's not an option, not going to go away, it's going to happen. If you don't take advantage of it, your competitors will be. People who get it right will go faster at a lower cost base than you will if you try and ignore it. The cloud is coming. It's not too late by any manner of means. There's huge opportunities out there. Finding the right partner set to help you do that will help you be successful. Thanks very much for your time. Myself and my colleagues will be around. I had to get one photograph in that had no clouds in it at all. Prepare for a cloudy future. Thanks very much.